guys, welcome back to our practice assignment series. Today we're going to be talking about PA number 11, which is the motor cover. So like always, let's get started with the tools down here. We're going to need a center point circle, a sketch fillet, dimension, line, trim, and offset. We're going to talk about this new offset feature. I have a video on it in the Onshape Orientation I'll put down in the description for you guys to be able to look at. And one thing I wanted to note, yes, you can draw these all with lines. Remember, the tools we put down here are your bare necessities you need to know. But an easier way to do this, if we look at our drawing, pretty much rectangles. So I'm going to use center point rectangles. Yes, there's these center lines. I'm not going to draw those for the sake of doing this today. But just know we're going to base everything off of that origin starting here in the center. So what's our question we have to answer today is, what is the total area of the shape without the center holes, or the center shapes and holes? So I know it's kind of confusing when I say with or without, so I will show you exactly what it looks like after we draw this thing. So trying to get a game plan going, I'm going to start with this center point rectangle. It's going to be 5.2 by 1.2. We're going to talk about this dimension here and how that can kind of trip you up. Then we're going to go here to a center point circle, and it says a radius of 2, and we'll talk about that dimension as well and how that kind of can trip you up. We're going to do an overall rectangle center point that's 10 by 6. We'll do our offset feature of a 1/2 inch all the way around on this rectangle. We'll round those corners, and then we'll throw our circles in, and I'll show you a couple of ways to do that. So without any further ado, let's get back into Onshape. Once we're in Onshape, like always, we need to get started with a sketch. So this time I'm going to start on the front plane because I'm going to do some 3D rendering to this later. So this is the kind of the layout I wanted to have it in. I could draw it from the top plane. I could draw it from the right plane. It doesn't really matter. It's just when you start things and how you want to base things. I know when I do a lot of sign work, I like to do it from the front, but most of my students draw everything from the top down, and it doesn't change anything. But for me today, I want to do from the front. So I'm going to do Shift and S on that front plane, N to normalize, and P to hide those planes. Again, first thing we're going to do is draw a circle with a radius of 2, so a diameter of 4. What I could do is type in 2 times 2. Let's say it was a weird number like a radius of 2.796432, whatever, right? I could type that number and then times 2, because the radius is always 2 times the radius is half of the diameter, so 2 times the radius equals the diameter. So 2 times 2, but for sake of clarity, let's just write 4. Easy math to do in our head. Next step, we're going to do a center point rectangle by pressing the letter R. I'm going to click my center point. I'm going to come out. I need my bottom to be 5.2, and I need my height to be 1.2. If we go back, I'll show you those issues people run into on the drawing. So if we look at here, again, that radius of 2, most of the time people will see 2 and they'll just type in 2. Teachers and students, if you see this and you're like, why is my circle smaller than everybody else's? You probably only typed in 2 instead of typing in 4 or 2 times 2, or however you want to get to that diameter of 2. So sometimes I'll throw in some tricks to make sure that you're paying attention to the drawings. In reality, in the real world, people who are making these drawings aren't always the ones who are making the part. So this is going to be something to teach you to keep an eye on little details. The other issue down here is this says 1.2, and I drew this center line. And the reason I did this is because I believe a couple of drawings ago, I gave you a measurement that kind of showed, hey, from here to the center line is maybe 1.2. So if I were to show that over, it would actually be 2.4. So I've had students and adults alike both type in 1.2 times 2 and gave me that double that measurement. And again, you would see that in our drawing reflected. If I did this as 2.4, you would see, let's change this to 2 really quick. You would see that obviously that's not right. We need a shape that looks like this. So after we get that, our next step is we're going to do another, let's go ahead and trim first. So if we see on my drawing, I do not want either of these. So we'll use M on our keyboard to pull up that trim tool, the scissors, and we're going to cut out that center. Next, I'm going to press R for center point rectangle. I'm going to click my origin, and then I'm going to go out. And I need that to be 10 wide by 6 inches tall. Okay. And now we're pretty much set up for our next step, which is our offset. Offset lives up here. In this drop down, sometimes you might have used a slot before. So if, let's say, you can't see it, remember it lives in this drop down. The other thing is the shortcut key O on your keyboard. So press the offset. And what we're going to do is I'm going to select all my lines. So I'm going to go there and there. And you'll see I get a selection. But what it's doing right here is it's showing me that, hey, this is a 1/4 inch or 0.25, but it's out that way. And I need it to be 0.5, but on the inside of my shape. So if we zoom out, and you'll see, I need that on the inside. I could go outside, but for what we're drawing today, I need that on the inside. And now we'll press OK. Accept my 0.5 measurement. And one thing I also want to show you is off to the side. So we'll take a little tangent really quick. Our next step is going to be rounding corners. So I'm just going to draw a rectangle over here. I'm going to offset it by, we'll just leave it at that default of 1/4 inch. And if I round these corners now, which is what we're going to do in our drawing, you'll see I get those all wrapped accordingly, right? But how far away is this point to here, right? Maybe I want a continuous sweep. So order of operations, if you're trying to do a sort of sweeping option, it would be to do the fillet first. So I want to round all these corners by doing Shift and F on my keyboard and saying OK. Then doing my offset and allowing that. Now I have the distance between these two is going to be that 0.5, right? You get that same, or 1/4 inch, sorry, that exact measurement all the way across without losing the thickness. So maybe I need holes all the way around this. That's how I would go about doing that. So, but for our sake of argument, we need these rounded after we've offset. So pay attention to the order of operations. That's one of the other things I want you guys to see in this drawing is sometimes you can't draw certain things because you need the points that are given. So from there, we need a radius of not 0.5, we need a radius of 1. We'll say OK. Escape to drop that tool, move this out of the way. And now I have the place to add my holes. So I'm going to do a circle. I'm going to say a 1 inch circle. And then I'm going to draw 3 more. I could say each one and do 1, but I like adding constraints to my drawings. And by doing this, I select all 4. My top left corner is the one that I gave a measurement to. So if I press E after having all 4 selected on my keyboard, so letter E is equals, now all 4 of those circles are all 1 inch. So if I were to change that to, let's say, 2 inches, they all would jump up to 2. If I changed it to 0.1, they all would change to 0.1. But we need that to be at 1, so I'll do 1 inch there. And same thing, we're going to do 1 on the inside. That's 0.6. And then we're going to just go all the way. Again, selecting that inside one and the other 3 copies and pressing E. So now they all equal. So if I were to change this, and the reason why we like to do this is just good practices for the real world. If I needed a change order and my boss said, hey, this needs to be 0.75, still 1 inch on the outside, but 1.75 on the inside hole. Well, now I can just change 1 measurement and then send that drawing off to whoever's making that. Or not. So real easy to go about changing and going from there. So this is how you draw that shape with that 1/2 inch offset. The easiest way to check too is just click 2 lines. You can check down here your parallel distance in the bottom. It'll say 0.5. And we can check again these 2, and again 0.5. We'll check these 2, 0.5, and we will check these two at 0.5. So we could have done that with lines, and it would have been a nightmare trying to get everything to do all these lines. But if that's the way you do it, and that's the way you learned, because I know a lot of you guys are coming from different CAD systems and then jumping onto the Onshape train. But if that's not how it works for you, that's fine. This is the way I do it, and there's a million ways to do these CAD drawings. So I'm going to show you how to find that answer, but before I do, let's change some measurements. We'll change that to 3. We'll change this to 2. Let's change that to 4.75. And we'll change that to 1.2. And we'll change this to 0.4. Let's add that as a 0.75. We're just changing measurements left and right. And let's make this 8. So obviously this is not our shape any longer. I have changed that geometry tremendously. But what we need to do now is, if we look back at our drawing, I said, what is the total area of the shape without the center shapes and the holes? So how am I going to find that? This is what I want you to do. So without the center shapes and without the holes. So these are those center shapes. These are the holes. So click the 2 rectangles with those filleted corners. And you come down here to the measurement details, show measure details, and you will now get an area. That area is way wrong, but that's where you will find that. If you drew it exactly how I showed you, this is where you will find your answer. So if your teacher sees you with 32.427 inches squared, they know you skipped to the end of the video and just tried to find the answer. Again, I don't give you the answers in this, but I show you how to find it, okay? Last but not least, I want to switch back to the tab with the packet. I added some things in this packet at the beginning. So obviously the QR codes all the way through are to help you find these videos. If you're looking at it on a actual printed packet, it'll link to all these videos. But a couple things to keep in mind. We got our little CAD robot here. I haven't decided what I wanted to call him yet, but so if you guys got any names, leave me a name down in the comments. But basically, this packet was built to help you grow your CAD skills through practice, mistakes, and problem solving. These drawings are full of little tricks and traps. If you're not paying attention to the details, they'll trip you up. And that's exactly the point. You're going to mess up. Every challenge in here is designed to push you a little further. Don't worry if it doesn't go perfectly the first time. That's how you learn. Again, all these drawings I used when I was first starting to teach myself how to get better and how to overcome those hiccups that we all run into. Okay. So at the bottom, if you're still stuck, here's some pro tips we got. Go one step at a time. Your speed will come later. You will get faster at this. The more you do it, the faster you will get. I have students that are drawing logos in like minutes compared to hours that it took them before just to draw a couple of basic shapes and lines. So watch the videos again for a step-by-step guide. We have these practice assignment videos that show you how to do it step by step, but I also have my Onshape Orientation series. I'll link that in the description as well. Check those out and see what you're missing and why you don't understand a certain tool. So maybe you're like, this offset video, the one I just watched right now, kind of showed me how to do it. But again, I think I have my offset video that's about 10 minutes or so of just how that offset tool works in the Onshape system. So again, if your drawing turns red, back up one step and see what you did. More often than not, you're aligning to the origin and you didn't want to, or a specific line or a midpoint or a corner or something. You accidentally moved your mouse and clicked before you wanted to. Just press escape, press Control Z, undo that step, and just do what you were supposed to do the first time. Again, the last thing, redo any drawing that gave you trouble, right? The greatest of the greats in sports are the greatest because they practice, right? Steph Curry can make 3-pointers night and day, and it's gotten to the point, I'm sure you guys have seen that video, where he starts dribbling the ball on the court and he questioned the court, not himself, because he knows that he's perfected this and he was better than the court was. So I want you guys to be the Steph Curry of the CAD world, and redo it and get better and better and better and better. Okay. So that's going to do it for us here today. Again, take a look in the description for those links to our other practice models in our Onshape Orientation playlist. And if you guys got a name for my little CAD robot, I figured he would kind of help us out, kind of like the old Microsoft Sam little paperclip guy that would stick in the corner while you were writing your papers. If you guys are old enough to remember that, you know what I'm talking about. If not, ChatGPT is probably where you're getting your help for your homework nowadays. But that's going to do it for us. So thank you guys again, and I will see you guys next week.